Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, and I wanted to have you guys meet Wally once again. The little guy's been growing up fast and furious, and he usually has a lot to say. And today he was passed out on the floor, but I needed to move him so we could do the show. So hopefully, Wally, are you going to say hello? Are you going to talk? That boy. Oh, okay. He is such a sweetheart. He comes into the office, sits under my feet. It's fascinating. Everybody loves animals. I do. And now he's going to be vocal. And he'll probably jump into the window, so be careful, everybody, if you hear slashing in the background. Hey, listen, there's going to be some interesting stuff on Friday. We've got the Iran announces the release of the funds held in Iraq, so they're pretty excited about that, because basically I think what they've done is they've lifted restrictions, or they've lifted sanctions. But if we can go into this article, I think it's pretty intense that there's two of them. And I'm going to read them, and I'll go over them a little bit, because I think they're really important to show that if they released the funds to Iraq, to Iran, that there's something going on. Because if sanctions have been lifted, there's a reason for that. So obviously we had a circumstance where there was some detainees, or some prisoners, if you will, that were held. So there was kind of a circumstance with that respect. And I haven't gotten into the study of that, but the truth is that that's part of the process. But look, it says today, Friday, the Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that within about a month, about 7 times the Iranian funds withheld in Iraq were released. What I find interesting about that is that, I don't know if it's a translation issue or not, but they're talking about that what they've released in the past was for medicines, specific types of foods, things of that nature. But in this particular case, they're talking about they released 7 times the Iranian funds. So I'm assuming that we're going to find out pretty quick what that really truly means. But it isn't the most important situation. The most important situation to me is that they are going to release billions of dollars, and they already began that process to do so. So look, Iraq, Iran, South Korea, United States, Oman, and Qatar have an influence in what's going on in Iraq as we speak, or actually as of yesterday and the last 2 to 3 weeks. So today's a different day, and we talked about specific dates that I did in my videos. So if you go back and listen, you'll be able to see that we talked about 21 this month, 22, 23, 24, 25. Today's the 25th. Al-Sudani had a court time frame that the court put out, 30 days from the 26th of July. So that's another key point. I won't go into all the other dates, because we've already been over it. So I would suggest you go back to my last 2 to 3, 4 videos, and you're going to start to see that how this transpires. This is their words coming from the news and the way I interpret it. And I bounce this off of Samson, Petra, Day Trader, Pompey Peter, the crew members, and many more that are out there. You guys have had us with video or audio with AG1. There's even more, okay, so that we don't talk about. But the cool part about it is that it's a whole global situation, and I get communications from lots of different peoples. But the main thing I start to focus on is what we have in print, and I kind of stick to that on a regular basis. So basically, it is in this particular case that it says that in the understanding that we concluded with the American side about Iran's money held in South Korea, the issue of Iran's money in Iraq was also raised, but yet its release began. So that's the key point. They're saying that money has already started to be released. And so something's in motion, and that's a good thing for us. Because look, Iraq's major trading partner, not all of them, but one, is Iran. And for them to release sanctions, restrictions on their money, you're going to find that you're going to go, wow, this is really kind of a big deal. So this person, Bafiri Khani, added, since the past 3 weeks, we've been able to release nearly 7 times the total money that we used in Iraq last year. So 7 times the money they used in Iraq last year has been released in the process of economic activities. And of course, we expect an acceleration in the liberation of the process. So to me, that sounds to me like if you're going to do something and you're going to accelerate it and you're going to liberate it, means that it's even going to be bigger and better than before. That's an interpretation of mine. On August 11th, it says the official Iranian media revealed the details of the, quote, agreement reached by Tehran with the United States of America under the auspices of a third country. I talked about 5 different countries. There's reasons for that, but this particular case, we're talking about Qatar, I believe, which provides for the exchange of prisoners between the 2 countries and the release of Iranian frozen funds in South Korea and Iraq. So they don't get clear on this, but I believe that from prior articles that the detainees were in Qatar. But in this particular case, as far as the finance and the money is concerned, I think we're talking about Oman. So we'll have to watch and see how this plays out. But it says the Iranian official basically quotes, it says, this agreement requires Iran to release 5 American prisoners in exchange for the release of 5 Iranian prisoners in the United States of America. So there's a tit for tat. He explains that in addition to that $6 billion of Iranian funds frozen in South Korea that will be released or is being released, along with a part of also the Iranian funds that are in the Iraqi Trade Bank, noting that, quote, the first stages of the process releasing Iranian funds in European banks have begun. So twice now we've seen that they're in the process, the money's being moved, and the game's afoot. This Brics thing in the past, you're going to find out we have more on that story, but keep that in mind about the money's been flowing. There's been things that have been done. So there's a lot of stuff that the consequences of actions or other things are in play. It says the Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani announced Baghdad's contact with the U.S. regarding the payment of Iran's dues for Iraq's gas imports, amounting to about $9 billion plus dollars, or no, actually in this case it's euros. They paid that up to over a 7-month period, and basically they did what they were supposed to do according to the agreed mechanism. The article is, if you want the direct quotes, exact wording, translation-wise, you can go and get it on Patreon. It says Iran announces the release of funds held in Iraq. The next thing I would like to say is at the bottom of this, at the end of it, which is kicker, is al-Sudani added that a delegation from the Central Bank of Iraq and the Iraqi Trade Bank, they left Iraq for the Sultanate of Oman with the aim of agreeing on a formula. Okay? A formula for what? A formula for transferring the funds to the Sultanate of Oman in agreement with the United States Treasury. So there you have it. We talked about the prisoners, we talked about the funds, we talked about the countries, and we're showing you that in these articles, like I gave you the title for it, I'm going to give you another title from what you can find in Patreon with Militiaman and Crew, and ultimately you'll find it in Discord chat room, which is on fire today, so you better check that out. We have full authority. Iran withdraws its funds held in Iraq and Korea. So this actually precedes the one I talked about, but I'm going to go over it anyway because it has some key components that are fascinating. It says the Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Bafiri Khani announced on Thursday evening, August 24th, yesterday, his country no longer has any frozen funds in Iraq and South Korea after the understanding between Tehran and Washington. They did it. stressing that Iran now has the full authority to manage its funds in those countries. Think about that for a minute. Iran now has the full authority to manage its funds in the countries. So if Iran has the full authority to manage its funds, there's no sanctions. Okay? So think about it. It's fascinating. It's really kind of powerful. And he goes on and says, the Iranian government from obtaining its funds in Iraq has already begun to be solved. So in other words, they're already going after it. That is phenomenal. Okay? The things that what I came up with, and I have a few ideas that the way I look at it was, look, this deal started to be funded. The money is moving to finalize the deal between Iran and the USA out of Oman, okay? There's a reason that the al-Sudani, the delegation of the Central Bank of Iraq, is in Oman. It's a third-party country, and they're there for what? To finalize its common place, right? It's basically that there is a reason that Iran will leave money in Iraq for commercial trade exchange. That's part of the article that's out there, is that's one of the things that they can do, is that they're specifically stating that they can do commercial trade exchange. That's the part about the sanctions. Look, Iran is a major trading partner with Iraq, and they will need to do trade with local currencies. Look, from this deal, there are no restrictions and sanctions. The process of money moving, it should have no problem. They should be able to be on a level playing field. They should be on a competitive exchange rate system with local currencies, because that's what they're talking about. The Brics are talking about local currencies. The United States, the G7, the G20, they're all coming in together trying to figure out what's the balance, what's the counterbalance. They're going to do this. They're really coming up to the stating that Iraq is the heart of this whole thing, and I don't disagree with that. I said for Iran now to be a player in the international world, as noted by the acceptance in Brics as a new member, and to this above going on this day, on the 30th day, per the Federal Court of al-Sudani for the 23, 24, 25 budget, it has to be sorted. Those things that court decision was up today. So as we see all these dates they're coming in and coming and going, we can see that al-Sudani and the central bank delegation that's in Oman. Look, why is al-Sudani with the central bank and the trade bank in Oman to help them with the money, to help them receive that? It's kind of blatantly obvious to me, is that they are there for a purpose, and that is to probably sign some papers and documents, etc. Because Iran would not be able to go anywhere if Iraq changes the value of her currency and Iran's not involved. And clearly what we've just witnessed is that Saudi Arabia and Iran have gotten along, and they've come to an agreement, and therefore this whole Brics, Saudi Arabia joining, and all the 6 or 7, 8 countries that are involved, Iran being one of them, Iran going into the Brics and not having an international currency, not having sanctions, not having restrictions, it's just not going to happen. So what we witnessed in the last, yesterday, the 24th, was on a key date for al-Sudani, one of the ones I talked about. It's in my videos. Al-Sudani had a date for the operational and investment side of their budget on the 24th. Had to have that done. The court said 30 days from July 26th to August 26th, had to have that done. And then today's the 25th, right? Now remember, the Islamic Certificate of Deposits talked about by the CBI yesterday specifically stated out to the 29th. I'm just telling you the dates that the central bank are talking about. But if you key in on the words that I use and I highlighted in that specific article, the Central Bank of Iraq is very clever and very smart and adept at writing things specifically. Translations may not be the best in the world, but they do a dang good job. In this particular case, they're specifically used one word, and that's called participant. And they can use those participants participate for those banks prior to the 29th. So as of yesterday, the 24th, they have that. I might have misspoke by 23rd, 24th, but I'm pretty sure it's the 24th. They have the ability to participate in anything that happens between now and the 29th, which is the implementation day. So we don't know what that implementation day really truly means, but there comes a time where they have to effectively have an exchange rate so that they can do trade globally, because they're not doing it yet and they're about to be able to do so. So a little bit long-winded, but fascinating stuff. I think you guys, if you go in and check out Patreon and look at Iran announces the release of funds held in Iraq, you find that article. And then you come back and you find this one with the accession of Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The expert Brics will be an economic pole in the face of America. Okay, so here again, this particular article basically says that, Ibrahim Al-Sumadeh says that the Brics alliance consisting of Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa will constitute an economic pole standing in the face of America. Well, there is a pole. You almost got a 50-50 situation going here. You got countries coming in, going, but there's alliances. You saw the stuff about Bangladesh. You saw the stuff about France. You saw the stuff about Germany, the EU, all these different countries. You've even seen China coming into Iraq. I mean, even a lot of these countries that are in Brics are doing business. The UAE are doing business with Iraq. So keep that in mind when they say that Iraq is at the heart of this. They mean it, and I don't disagree. It says this Al-Sumadeh is suggesting that although some of the members of the states have very large economic relations with the United States of America, and others are already members of large international economic groups such as the G7, the G20, Brics thinks aloud about the need to deal outside the dominance of the US dollar and contributed strongly to breaking US Western sanctions on Russia, which reduced the impact of economic isolation on it. But think about it again. It says the accession of countries known for their strategic relationship with the United States, such as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a prominent member of the 20 most important global economies, the G20, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt, has many dimensions. So look, they're on the fence a little bit because they know the United States of America has a stronghold. We are the reserve world currency. However, what do we have to back it up? Okay, so they can do the things that they do. A lot of the currencies that are out there that are in this BRICS situation, they're not doing very good. They're not. But again, their platform suggests they have a huge amount of commodities, huge amount of population base, all that stuff. But again, America, if you really get into the scheme of things, what do we have? We have oil, we have natural gas, we have gold, we have timber, we have a massive economy. We have all kinds of things that support the fact that even though that things aren't going so well at this stage of the game, remember the United States dollar today, I believe I put here, is trading at $4.15 to a basket of currencies on a Friday. All right, so keep that in your hat. And it says we go from the Saudi Arabia, Arab Emirates. Has many dimensions, went through that. It says the economies of these countries and their political decisions have become more independent than ever. Although their existence in BRICS, it may limit the founders' extremism in going to produce an international bipolarity, this time in confrontation with the American pole, after the Chinese economic pole and the Russian military pole were unable to confront it together. I'm not sure what the translation, if it's the best or not, but to be fair, is that we have bipolarity, the confrontation of the American pole. Well, the American pole is what? They're wielding their strength against other countries with sanctions, but yet we have an economic pole where China's not doing so well. We had the Evergrande circumstance and some bond issues that they went through that nobody seems to be talking about on a regular basis openly in the public. We know of the Russian military pull that's ongoing out of the Ukraine. So there's there is instability and some stuff that's going on as I see it. But I'm not the one that brought it up. They did. They brought up those 3 different polls, and to my best recollection, what I just said is basic. That's probably the truth. So here we go. It says the accession of Iran, which was effectively the bosom of Brics, will give it added immunity from what it gave it before in the face of U.S. and Western economic sanctions. Well, if Iran is gone into the Brics, and they're at their current exchange rate, I'm not so sure how that feels so good to all those other countries that have currencies that are failing too, or not doing very well. I'm pretty sure that what they're expecting is that there's going to be a balance between the fact that the heartland, which is Iraq, that Iran's going to have that component to be able to help facilitate some strength and value, because they both have a huge economic trade platform because of the nature of their borders, etc. Families, demographics, all those different things. So basically, Iraq, in the end, geopolitically has become, here it says, the heart of Brics, though it is actually still under their realistic American tutelage. So you didn't see any articles out there on a regular basis, Iraq's going to jump into the Brics. You didn't see that. But here these guys are basically openly talking about the fact that it is a very important situation, but it's almost like a 50-50 neutralization situation, and we're going to see some, maybe I'm hoping that it's a global shift to be a positive situation. I mean, if this doesn't bring a smile to your face, to me, there might not be anything that will. When they state that Iraq is the heart of Brics, but yet still under the American tutelage, why? Okay? Are they saying that Iraq has a job to do? Are they saying that Iraq has something left to do to make some changes? Are they saying that? I mean, to me, really? Maybe so. Does that sound like changing your exchange rate? That's what it sounds like. Does it sound like that to you? I'm not sure, but it does to me. Are they going to go international into the private sector? Yeah. Are they going to have the World Trade Organization knocking on the door? Yeah. All these different things are phenomenal items to pay attention to and to focus on. Look, Iraq has been a main focus. They've been mentioned to a degree in some of these cases with specific articles, but as far as the Brics is concerned, Iraq really wasn't the main focus, right? But being under the tutelage of the United States tells us that the United States has control to some degree. I mean, that's a give and take, to be fair, but to be honest, they didn't go outside that. So when they say that they're under the tutelage of the United States, there must be some sort of sanctions or something to the effect that Iraq has to play by. But the bottom line is that the sanctions on Iran have been released. Now let's watch and see if the sanctions on Iraq become released and that this whole system gets going. So I think that Iraq's circumstances are powerful, and I think the globe is definitely waiting for Iraq to react. That's pretty good. Anyway, thank you for your time, you guys, and this afternoon on a Friday. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. So thank you for all your help and your kind subscriptions. I hope you like this channel, and if you'd like to tap those donate buttons to keep the content flowing, it really does help keep this going, because it is part of this whole process. I think you guys will enjoy what I just gave you. Thank you. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.